Okay, welcome everybody to the Active Transportation Committee hosted by WFRC jointly with other transportation agencies. Great to have you with us. And our chair is walking in as we speak, so we will get him to join us. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Mayor.
All right, everybody, welcome. I apologize for being a few minutes late. The traffic was just a joy, just simply a joy. I just wish we could have more of it. Actually, we need a little more transit, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I'd like to welcome everyone to our Active Transportation Committee meeting. I'm Mayor Walker. And I'd like to start with doing a roll call if we could. Could we start with those online and then come to those in the room? Do you want to call them?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and call out folks online and then you can introduce yourselves. We've got Mayor Petro, Brett McKiff, and Terry Sorey, if you want to take a moment.
Mayor Petro here. Thank you, Mayor Walker, for walking in at the last minute. So I didn't have to jump in, but glad to be part of this committee.
Good morning. I'm Brett McKiff with Utah Department of Health and Human Services, where I coordinate the State Physical Activity and Nutrition Grant. And I also got stuck in traffic, so yay.
Good morning, everyone. Terry Sorey, Davis County Health Department. I do exactly what Brett does, but at a local level with the Davis County Health Department. And I was stuck in traffic at 6:45 this morning. It's been going on for, I think, all night long.
Okay, let's go. Jamie Dancy, John Nichols, and Commissioner Fackrell.
Good morning, Jamie Danzy with Salt Lake County in the Transportation Group.
John Nichols with Parametrics.
Lane Fackrell, County Commissioner for Morgan County, and I should be there in about 10 minutes. Traffic I hate in Salt Lake.
Thank you. Let's do Suzanne Harrison, Mayor Merrill, and Marisa Manzioni.
Suzanne Harrison, Salt Lake County Councilwoman.
Carla Merrill, Alpine City Mayor, representing MAG. Apologize for not being in person. We have an emergency city council meeting this morning at 11:30.
Marisa Manzione, Tula City Council.
Let's go Mayor Moat, Samantha DeSalle-Horst, and Matt Castle.
I'm Mayor Moat, Willard City. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Samantha DeSalle-Horst. I have the pleasure of working with you on the long-range planning team at WFRC.
Matthew Castle, Riverton City.
Thank you. And Wendlandt Noblock and Becca Rolfe.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Knobloch with Midvale City.
Wolf, Salt Lake City Transportation.
And then we have another joinee, Mike, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Mike West. I'm just with Lehigh City, joining in and listening.
That's everybody online.
All right, let's start to my right. Dee Dee, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Dee Dee Murray with UTA.
Dory Johnner, Long Range Planning, WFRC.
Jordan Chandler, WFRC Admin Team.
Rosie Hernandez, WFRC Admin Team.
Ken Pippin, Far West City.
I'm Dave Graff, Ogden City Council. For those that got stuck in traffic, I came on the train. There was no traffic jam there. And I sold a pair of skis out here on the corner this morning that a guy picked up on Facebook Marketplace. So I've had a productive morning riding the train today.
That's awesome. Ted Knowlton, Deputy Director, WFRC.
He did show up.
Hugh Van Wagen, WFRC Staff Liaison for this committee.
Tim Watkins, WFRC. The one day I didn't take the train, I got stuck in traffic.
Byron Head, WFRC staff, biked into work with no traffic.
Zane Pulver, UDOT.
Edwin Glass, WFRC, took the bus this morning.
And O'Malley with Stockton.
Matt Ryan, community planner with WFRC. I also had a sub 10-minute bike ride in here. No issues.
Bo Sheffield, urban planning student at University of Utah, and I actually took the bus here.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Elliot Mott. I'm a volunteer organizer.
Miranda Jones-Cox, Government Affairs at WFRC.
Madison Aviles, local administrative advisor at WFRC.
All right, I think that's everybody. Thank you all for introducing yourself. Our first item up on the agenda is an action item. It's the minutes of our Active Transportation Committee meeting held August the 12th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? All right, we have a second.
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second, approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I hear no opposed. I'll rule those minutes are approved unanimously. Item number 2 is public comment. Now's the time for general public comment. Is there anyone in the room that'd like to make a public comment? Come on up to the mic if you would, sir. We'll give you 3 minutes. You don't have to use them all, but you can.
No, I won't
Give us
need-
your name and address.
I
if you
won't
would.
need 3 minutes. My name is Elliot Mott. I'm a volunteer organizer. I lead a lot of events outdoors. Bike
Get into
rides.
that mic a little better, Elliot. Thank you.
Closer? Is that
Go ahead.
better?
Yep.
Okay. Again, my name is Elliot Mott. I'm a volunteer organizer. I lead a lot of events as a volunteer outdoors, bike rides, kayak tours, and hikes, backpacks, that type of thing. I'm here today to ask about the upcoming Utah Transportation Conference. Where is active transportation going to be discussed? I got their printout some time ago and everything's color coded. Looks like they have approximately 90 different sections. And I only saw one that was active transportation color coded. So I'm interested in that, where else it's being discussed, if it's even discussed at all with UTA. And also, every community that I interact with has a problem with e-bikes, scooters, interacting with pedestrians on sidewalks and on roads. Is that subject going to be discussed at the UDOT conference? If anyone has any response to that, I'd be interested in knowing what it is. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to make a general public comment? Anyone online? All right, seeing no further public comment, we'll close that period of the meeting. Go to item number 3. It's the RTP AT project phrase. Man, that's a whole mouthful. Of RTP AT project phasing criteria. As many of you are aware, the development of the 2027 Regional Transportation Plan is in progress. Today, Jory and Hugh are here to get the committee's input on Wasatch's choice vision goals to use as a criteria for phasing active transportation projects in the plan. I'll turn the time over to Jory.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Acronym soup, RTP, AT, LMNOP. All right, so today I'm going to give an update of the development of the 2027-2055 Regional Transportation Plan, or as we lovingly call RTP, with the focus on the phasing criteria for active transportation. Next slide. So I think everybody is familiar with our planning process in an RTP. RTP is on a 4-year planning cycle. The last plan was adopted in 2023. So we started last year by testing scenarios, gathering input, from you all, from our local communities, UDOT, UTA, and we wanted to explore projects, last year. This year, we're working on a preferred scenario. I'll talk a little bit more about that part of the process. And next year, we're going to dive into prioritizing the preferred scenario. So that means identifying when projects are needed by decade. So if a plan goes out to 2055, that's what we're looking at today. What's needed by 2055 or between now and 2055. Next year, we'll decide what do we need in the first 10 years? What do we need in the second 10? What do we need in the last decade of that planning process? With the idea that we'll adopt the plan May of 2027. Next slide. So we've showed this process chart. Hopefully you're familiar with it a little bit. So you can see here, this is what we've been working on over the last year. You can see the process for reviewing and screening project ideas, from gathering those ideas, high-level screening. Then we run through a more technical screening, and I'll talk a little bit more about those on the next slide, that will get us to a preferred scenario. After we get to that preferred scenario, we'll phase, like I mentioned. And so we don't wait until we get the preferred scenario to start deciding how we're going to phase the projects. We're going to work with you today and get your input on how to phase the projects so that we're geared up and ready to go next spring on phasing the projects or identifying when they're needed. All right, so next slide. So you can see on this, this first steps, concepts for considerations. Those projects came from the existing RTP, projects that we received from workshops last fall with our local communities. We've had meetings with key stakeholders. So we meet with about a dozen stakeholders across the region. Those include universities, key stakeholders, active transportation groups, other transportation advocacy groups, and then discussions with UDOT, UTA, and others, so our transportation partners. We screen the concepts through a process rooted in the Wasatch Choice Vision. So if you're familiar with the Wasatch Choice Vision, there are 10 goals. Everything we do for the RTP is rooted in those 10 goals. And the screening processes to evaluate projects needed by 2015 are rooted in those. The phasing criteria that you'll help us with today will be rooted in those as well. So we pass through the preliminary screening. It's really high level. Does the project have project support? Is it initially feasible? Things like that. Then it runs through a technical screening process that, again, rooted in the goals, but looks at more technical evaluation, travel demand modeling, access to opportunity, things like that. So we look at volumes, ridership on roads and transit. We have a bike model that we utilize, I think probably in the phasing, but we utilize a lot of the local active transportation master plans for our process to identify what's needed now. You will see something new on this map that you may not be as familiar with from prior plans, the exploratory concepts. So this is a new category that reflects projects that don't meet the formal screening criteria, but we want to recognize them for future consideration. So in the past, if a project might have been a good idea, but it just didn't meet the criteria to move into the preferred scenario, it just kind of got left behind with all the other projects that were screened out. In this case, we have a new placeholder for projects that we want to keep on our radar and keep investigating and diving into a little bit more. So as I mentioned, next slide, this is where we're at in this process. The phasing criteria, we'll be ready to use these next summer, next spring actually. And so Hugh, does anybody have questions on the process and kind of where we're at in the 4-year cycle and then where we're at now and next year? All right, if not, I'm going to turn it over to Hugh. He's going to dive a little bit deeper into the phasing criteria, and we want to get your input. Active transportation, the advisory committee to both our regional growth committee and our transportation coordinating committee, Transcom. And so we want your input on the regional transportation plan criteria.
Thanks, Joey. And in order for this to be a little bit easier for some folks online and in the room, we do have a Slido poll that you can join. So this is something, if you're at a laptop, you can go to slido.com and type in the number 3261373, or just if you want to use it on your phone, use the QR code. And we'll get to this just after I give a little bit of an explainer, but I'll leave this up for just another 10 seconds. And you'll have an opportunity to jump back in if for some reason you don't get to it right now. Welcome, Commissioner Fackrell. Glad you made it in. Okay. Oh, and good. Okay. So Jory mentioned the Wasatch Choice Vision goals. And, these are all of the things that as we collectively aspire to implement the Wasatch Choice Vision, these are the things we're hoping to get out of that implementation. Livable and healthy communities, access to economic and educational opportunities, manageable and reliable traffic conditions. So you're reliably going to be late if you drive into this meeting, every other month. Quality transportation choices, safe, user-friendly streets, clean air, housing choices and affordable living expenses, fiscally responsible communities and infrastructure, sustainable environment, ample parks and public spaces. So in the last round of the regional transportation plan, on the active transportation project side, we took 4 of those goals to develop our phasing criteria. The first was safe and user-friendly streets, and we developed metrics about how a project improves safety or addresses latent bicycle demand. We took the goal of quality transportation choices and developed metrics on how a project improves network connectivity, improves connections to transit, and improved connections to shared mobility services. We looked at livable and healthy communities and developed how a project supports Wasatch Choice vision and revitalizes the economy and improves health outcomes. And then the last goal we used was access to economic and educational opportunities. So how does a project improve access to opportunities and improve access to opportunities in community focus areas and within community focus areas? So there are 6 goals that we did not use to develop criteria for the phasing in the last plan. And I know this is kind of a lot. What we're saying now is we did a quick overview of the 10 goals. And as part of this poll you just all signed in to, please rank those 10 goals. And what you can do is when you log in here, you should be able to drag and drop in the your preference, top being number 1, being highest priority, and those below underneath that being lower priority. Just want to see how you think for the active transportation phasing criteria, which goals we should focus on. And then we will deal with developing an appropriate metric to measure those projects by. So this is live. We'll see, we got 8 participants ranking, 7 participants. So if you weren't able to join earlier, but this is something that you can do now, please do so. I know we have several members of our committee online. Love to get your input here. This will bounce around. Kind of feel like I should be an auctioneer. Number 1, safe user-friendly streets, manageable and reliable traffic. Just coming next. Clean air coming in 3rd, like a horse race.
You know, when I look at these goals, I'm noting how I think just about every single one relates to AT, active transportation.
I think there is an argument for that. Absolutely. And the question is, how do we measure a project to reflect that goal? Yeah. So this was something that can stay open for another minute as people are ranking. And if you have your goals ranked 1 through 10, great. Thank you very much. I will move on to the next slide, but you can continue voting, I hope, as I do this. You're the Slido expert, Ted, right? Doesn't it stay open even if I move slides? Jordan?
Hope so.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well, we got 4 people ranking. Well, yeah, 4 people. 3.
Wait until that gets to
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, now back to 4.
Pressure.
Yeah, we want your input, but we want it fast. We know who you are, right? Like no pressure. Nope. Yeah, okay. This is great. This is really great feedback for us as staff to move forward with from this committee. Okay, next steps. We're also heading into our fall workshops that hopefully all of you have received calendar invitations for. We're actually be in Box Elder County tonight for our first workshop of the year. And then hitting 1 to 2 each week through early November. So we're going to be reviewing that preferred scenario. We're going to be talking to the Regional Growth Committee, Technical Advisory Committees, and then we'll do an internal review of programming evaluation criteria, continue to work with UDOT and UTA, and then we'll come back with this criteria to the tax in December and present it to the Regional Growth Committee in January of 2026 as we move forward. So please come and see us at the preferred scenario workshops. You'll be getting a phone call as well prior to those meetings because we'd love to have you there.
Hugh, with the risk of breaking the Slido, can you click back to it and see results?
Oh, yeah.
I'd just be
You should
curious
go
of
over
what
how-
this committee, there were 26 responses. Nope. Oh, there we go. What was the top 3, top 5 results from this committee? So looks like not surprised, safe user-friendly streets. I think we're all familiar with riding a bike or getting out, and that's obviously the top priority. Quality transportation choices, which means elevating active transportation to the same level as roads and transit. Livable, healthy communities, big connection there, getting people to and from where they live and work. Clean air, big tie to active transportation. And then access to economic and education opportunities. So I think that I'm not surprised you at these top 5 from this committee.
It's great. Yeah, thanks, Joy, for going back over that. Okay, unless there's anything else from anybody, well, I think that's the time we have for that one. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Next item is a presentation on the Parley's Trail history. Joining us today is Juan Ace Loretta from the Parley's Rails, Trails, and Tunnels Coalition to give us a history of the 8-mile Parley's Trail running west to east through Salt Lake City. Juan, the time is yours, sir. Go ahead.
15 minutes, sir. 5 for questions.
Get at that podium if you would, sir.
Oh, okay. Whatever I have, I encourage you to ask questions. How many people are familiar with the Parley's Trail? So most, some are not. So whatever you know of the Parley's Trail, I think the idea of the Parley's Trail, which connects the mouth of Parley's Canyon to I call it the Provo Jordan River Parkway because there was a foundation established that was called the Provo Jordan River Parkway, and the vision was that it's the Provo River and the Jordan River. Now it's called the Jordan River Parkway, Legacy Parkway, the Provo River Parkway. But the idea has existed for probably 35, 40 years. Salt Lake County included it in a trails master plan, a regional trails master plan, like I say, about 35 years ago.
Would you mind just trying to speak directly into that mic for our recording? Thank you.
Sure. Anyhow, about 35 years ago. And I was actually working with the county when we wrote down on a map the possibility of having that as a trail. And, you might view it as much as you taking a map and using a crayon and drawing where you think we could do a trail or where it might be a good idea to do a trail, regardless of the issues you might face eventually. And because I say that because when I was out there, we were looking over walls, we were looking at little spaces, maybe 20-foot wide spaces. We could put a trail here, we could put a bridge over that part of the highway, we can put an underpass under this portion of the highway. We were just like, whatever we wanted to do, this is what we're going to do. Whether or not we thought it was realistic, we actually chuckled at times like, yeah, right, like this is going to happen, the big vision of bridges and underpasses and the costs being prohibitive. We didn't even know what the costs were. And at the time, we included it, and we had talked about putting it to some degree by the Salt Lake Country Club because we only had to deal with one property owner. We later, much later, 20 years later, decided to go back out with the county and the city and some people from the Parley's Rails, Trails, and Tunnels Coalition and looked again at the south side and recognized and realized that putting the trail on the south side of I-80 might in fact be easier than working with Salt Lake Country Club, though they were openly meeting with us. And we didn't have the power of eminent domain or anything to put the trail enforce it on the country club. And obviously they have a lot of influential people. So that would have been a hurdle, but we met with them regularly and they weren't entirely opposed to it. Anyhow, what happened is a group of people who were working on the Shoreline Trail, and the history of the Shoreline Trail goes back farther than the history of the Parley's Trail. And I was involved with that as well, starting the initial committee. I was a student at the U and was on the initial organizing committee for the Shoreline Trail. But this group started to organize to, I think, principally raise a little bit of money from Salt Lake City. A bunch of other groups had come together to fund the Shoreline Trail, and now they were trying to raise funds to begin the Parley's Trail. And what's critical for, I guess, you who are active in the Active Transportation Committee is to, in part, identify who might be instrumental in moving your projects forward. So for us, we started to invite legislators. We had people from UDOT, we had people from Wasatch Front Regional Council, we had influential people in the community. And I don't know why some people sunk their teeth into it, but of critical importance to us was that we had some volunteers, Rita Lund, Lynn Olson, Karen Hell, myself, and others who just thought this was a good idea. I don't know that we necessarily had some great passion for the project. I think we just thought it was, for me personally, I think it was just a good idea for the community. I lived in Davis County for the majority of this project. And then now I live in the Holiday. So my access to the project isn't great, but I just want to support my community. And you've got to ignore these borders of your city and the county and everything else, because, you know, we're all part of a broader community, and the Parley's Trail was going to connect the Shoreline Trail, which had the potential of being beyond 100 miles long, and for me, again, the Provo-Jordan River Parkway, which also had the potential to be, you know, miles and miles and miles long. And just as a side note, something that I feel like is important now, and I know that the Mountainlands Association of Governments, they've actually produced maps for this concept, is an active transportation piece that would, I call it the Infinity Loop. People have called it other things, but a project that would connect the Legacy Parkway, the Jordan River Parkway, the Provo River Parkway, get up through Midway to the rail trail that would connect up to Colville, get back into Morgan, come back down Weber Canyon, and then get back out to the Legacy Parkway and come all the way back to the Jordan River, back to the Provo River. And in the middle, it's doable. I've met with people, the county has met with people to try and figure out how to maybe extend the Parley's Trail into Parley's Canyon so that it would be the center east-west piece of this enormous loop. And Jim Price, who was at Mountainlands Association of Governments, he actually put a fair amount of time into this. He's retired, and I hope the concept doesn't die with his retirement, but a lot of the pieces are there, and it would just take somebody with a vision and time to that this thing can be done to kind of just foster it along. So back to how we organized, we had a lot of influential people, the right people, and I think critical to the right people were a few active community members who greased the wheels. Pratt now, or Parley's Rails, Trails, and Tunnels Coalition, Pratt now has the credibility and the connections that if we need to talk to Carlos Braceras there are people within the organization who could call Carlos Braceras and talk to him, and our congresspersons and various city leaders. Now, the organization is kind of on its waning life, but in its heyday, people listen to us. The county, critical to the Parley's project, listened to us and were patient with us. And the mayors respected us and they loved this project as well. So certainly that helped. As far as Wasatch Front Regional Council goes, we had great relationships with all of its leaders, and Sam Clem loved it and helped us always grease the wheels. So we as a nonprofit organization, we grease the wheels. I'll give you one quick example. When we shifted from the north side of the trail, or the north side locating of the trail, and we started looking at the south side at about 20th East by I-80, there was a property owner whose property came almost down to the shoulder of I-80. And there was a big concrete barrier there that came right down to the road. And one day, we knew it was going to be an issue. And one day, I just went to the house, knocked on the door, and started a conversation with them. And we were able to work things out with them. So I think if you can approach active transportation to some degree as something that's good for the community and just talk to people as such, you'll have a lot of success. And I think that the Parley's coalition had a lot of success because we were able to just have logical, calm conversations with people. I will say this too, there was one city along the corridor and its council and mayor actually passed a resolution opposing the placement of the trail in their jurisdiction. And that was probably 25 years ago. Now that community is trying to figure out how to make it better than it ever was. But history-wise, again, the key to our success was building a broad coalition. We had more people in our meetings than there are right now in this meeting. Now we have about 6 people who come together and we kind of clean things up, make sure that nothing's negative is happening to the trail. We have a little bit of money that we have like $24,000 that we're trying to spend at this point. But having been the leader of that group for probably 15, 16 years, I don't have anything to lose really. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm pretty direct with people. So I tell them that we need this money, or if they come back and say, well, we just don't have this money, so we're gonna have to cut this component or this element of the project or the trail. Again, because of our credibility, I would just simply say, no, we can't. We're not gonna cut that element of this. And then we would go out and figure out how to raise funds. We were on the STIP, and we learned from people that was critically important so we could receive federal funds and et cetera. The budget for the trail, or how much we've spent, in today's dollars, it might not surprise you, but it's still a big number. I bet it's in the $50 million. It's about 8 miles of trail. We've put in underpasses, we've put in bridges. And for instance, going back to just saying, no, this is not going to work. 2 stories. One, when I was at the Salt Lake City mayor's office, it was just after 9/11, and
Juan, could I don't mean to be.
Yeah.
If you wanted to take a few questions, you got about 5 minutes left. Do you want to take some quiz? Anybody have any questions for Juan about? Go ahead, Blaine.
Yeah, I have a question. How do you maintain it? Now that it's all built, who maintains it? And is it open during the winter?
Well, certainly that's critical. Who maintains it? Salt Lake County is the owner generally of the project, but it's kind of a hodgepodge. The jurisdictions that it goes through generally manages it, but the county owns it, and they enter into interlocal agreements. So the county will maintain it principally, but on the ground, South Salt Lake, for instance, if you find goat heads or puncture vine on your trail, it's kind of worthless. So South Salt Lake is supposed to remove those. Pratt, as a nonprofit, we started our own little effort, adopt a section of trail to get rid of puncture vine on your section of trail. The Central Business District in Salt Lake and Salt Lake City invested about $5 to $6 million on their corridor. They actually have a crew that goes out and maintains the trail in their corridor. But otherwise, the county maintains it, including re-asphalting. Now, as far as the winter goes, it's open during the winter, but there are hazards. They've never purchased a snowplow to go out and maintain the trail. Now, if you maintain a trail, that raises its own level of risk and liability exposure. Because if you say you're maintaining a trail and then it's sunny one day and it melts and it creates a sheet of ice and somebody goes out and uses it, they may come back and say, hey, you're maintaining this trail, obviously. You didn't make sure that you put salt on this skiff. So there's a lot of issues there, and there's indemnity for, government, but the entities maintain it, and we help to a small degree. Any other questions?
We got one online for you. Time for one more.
Yeah, Bendelin.
Yes, hi. You mentioned sort of future expansion, and I was wondering if there's been any thought about taking the Parley's Trail further west. I mean, if you look at Salt Lake County, Summit County, Wasatch County, and so on, within Salt Lake County, the western side is really the side that hardly has any trails, and the recreational opportunities are really not there yet. So
yes, the mission of Parley's Trail was to establish an 8-mile multiple use trail from the mouth of Parley's Canyon and the Shoreline Trail to the Provo Jordan River Parkway. So we've established that. We reached out certainly to West Valley City, who had talked about establishing a Decker Lake section of trail that would extend farther west. And going back to one of my initial comments about taking a map and then taking a crayon and saying, this would be a cool place for a trail. You can do that all day. If you have a vision for a trail or a bike lane, you take that crayon, you draw it on a map, and then you start the discussions about what you want to do. And then you have to bring the right parties together. I think that but for Pratt, the wheels of this project would have moved forward so slowly. We actually, this is an old story, and I'm not roasting anybody, but when we were seeking some of our early funding, we were working with Matheson and Bennett's office, and we were asking for $10 million, probably as a line item appropriation through the feds. And as you might suspect, each of those offices decided that they would get us half, right? You asked for 10 million and they're like, okay, well, let's get them half. Because those two offices weren't communicating very proactively, one office got us $5.5 million and the other office got us $5 million. So we ended up with $10.5 million as some initial seed money for the project. That said, UDOT was one of our partners. UDOT did not feel that us getting this money from the federal government, well, what they did feel is that that took money out of their pockets, because it was, here's their $1 billion and this 10 million was taken out of that. And that's not how partners treat partners. Even though I have a letter signed by all the congressional delegation at the time reassuring John Nord that that was not the case. So what I've learned about the process is, before I go to the legislature and ask for any money, I make sure that Jenny Wilson, Ben McAdams, Peter Caroon, that they are okay with me asking for money because people have the idea that they're only going to get so much of an apple at the legislature. And if you're getting $1 million for the Parley's Trail, that's part of your 10 million. So I think one of the keys as a grassroots organization that greases these wheels, you need to be very transparent and very proactive about making sure that you're not burning anybody.
Can I add? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Thank you, Juan, for your presentation, your passion. You had a concluding comment?
Yeah, I'd love to thank you very much for this, the history. I'd love to just offer a thought. I arrived a little bit late. I'm Andrew Gruber with Wasatch Front Regional Council. Good morning. Just a few thoughts occur to me about this. One, just personally, I ride this all the time. I live in Mill Creek City, which if you're looking at the map is the bottom right there. And before this was created and all connected, riding east to west was very dangerous. I mean, there were road crossings where on a bicycle, you were having to cut across many lanes of fast-moving traffic. Thank you very much. He's pointing it out, and areas where there were entrances and exits from the freeway. So it was very dangerous. I did it, but it really dissuaded a lot of people. And now through a lot of time and energy and effort and money over years, it's all connected in a way. And so now it's an easy, comfortable, really fun ride. And so I ride it often when I ride my bike to work. Okay, so that's just one. I think it's terrific. The other thing is that I think of this particular trail connecting into the north-south Jordan River Trail. There's a debate going on. I'm gonna offer a little color commentary right now. There's a debate going on in Utah about the appropriate locations of bike lanes. Then there is an argument, and this was borne out in Senate Bill 195, which the legislature passed last year, that sort of called time out and said, wait a second, where are we having bike lanes in our streets? And what's the appropriate balance between auto and bike and pedestrian? And one of the things that I think is emerging as a point of clarity from those discussions is that it's really important to have designated, safe, comfortable, convenient places for people to bike. Not everywhere, not every street should be designated as for all users, but you have to have good, safe, connected north, south, and east, west, like we have a significant transit network and a roadway network. We have to have a good, safe, connected places for people to bike. So this is an amazing example of it. 9th South going through Salt Lake is another example of that, where you make a concerted effort to identify the right places and you invest in them and you tell people this is where you can ride safely and effectively, and you direct people there. And so this is just a fantastic example, and you could run all the way up and down the Wasatch Front and think about what are those places that are safe and convenient and effective for people to ride. When I say people, I mean families, anybody. Last thing I'll say, as you think about, you talked about taking out a crayon and drawing something, right? Governor Cox, relatively recently, in a completely different context, said, and some of you may have heard this, that a combination of being naive and passionate is what enables progress to happen. And maybe that's the only way for progress to happen. And so I think when we think about things like this, the Parley's Trail and what the Pratt Coalition did, it took just that, a combination of naivete and passion. And then, you add to that a whole bunch of effort and time, dedication and perseverance. And that's what led to this happening. And so I know that Mayor Petro asked a question in the chat. Is there an ask for this, or is this for information? And the answer is, it is both for information and for inspiration. as we think about how we go forward. Not bike lanes on every street, not every road for every user, but having good, safe connections that our residents can use to get around. And this is just like one of the prime examples of that in our community. Thank you so much.
Juan, thank you and personally for your efforts and your group. Next, we have Steve Parkinson with Roy City. He's going to tell us about a new bridge that was installed on the DNR GW rail trail in Roy in conjunction with a UDOT roadway project. Steve, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. And sorry for my lateness. The great thing about I-15 having a few accidents, you get late when you're coming from Weber County. So I just want to talk a little bit about Roy City's active transportation. Is it this way? Oh, there we go. So just kind of get you familiar with Roy City. I-15 on the far left side, you got SR 126 or 1900 West. The biggest road going through Roy City is SR 97 or 5600 South. And towards the middle of Roy, we don't call it the far west because we still have to go farther. SR 108 is 3500 West. You have the DNRG trail that goes through the middle, and then you have the active rail line there represented in black. So kind of talk about SR 97, which is 5600 South. As you know, there's a street widening project. On this project, we had in our general plan update in 2018, we put in there that we would like to have a separate trail along 5600 South. What we envisioned was, meandering trail with parks and stuff. It's not what we got, but at least it's separated in a large thing, but I'll give you some pictures. So this is as of this morning. You can see the 12-foot wide trail on the south side, a 3-foot separation between the street. This is kind of what I believe what it looked like prior. Not the same exact location, but the street you can tell has changed a lot. The trail now is beyond where the south side of that those trees are. You can see the crosswalk right here, which is the DNRG trail along 5600 South. So one of those aspects that came about was how do we get people across 5600 South on the DNRG trail? Is it under, is it over? So UDOT debated, and what we got was this nice, beautiful bridge. The great thing is if you go back a little bit, there is an elementary school about a half mile away from this bridge where they had to try to cross to go over 5600 South. So this is part of our Safe Routes to School project as well. Again, 56 is going to be a 5-lane road where it used to be 3. You got a bridge that goes over the active railroad right now. It's still under construction, but that bridge itself is a highlight, at least for me as a planner, to get the DNRG trail safely across this busy road and kind of bring some substance. Now, there's no way I can talk about 15 minutes worth about a bridge. So I thought I would expand a little bit on what other projects are happening within Roy. Some of them are future, some of them are.
I have a question. I think maybe others do. How much did that bridge cost?
Not a clue.
Oh, all right.
It was all up to UDOT to build. So I wasn't part of those meetings to figure out. I just know it was
So it's free to you.
Right.
What was
the
that?
nice
Just
thing-
free to you. No, just kidding.
Mayor, the nice thing, when you package active transportation projects with larger roadway projects, for instance, they're rebuilding the interchange there at 5600, the access to the Falcon Hill area. widening 5600 West, I think over $200 million project. It's not much more to add said bridge, right? If you were to just try to find specific money for this project, a lot harder, I think. And so something to keep in mind as we're all looking to at the existing projects and the road projects. It's easier to ask, right, Steve? And
Yes.
better chance to get rather than coming up with
Because it was a big
$5 million
question.
or whatever it could be, right?
The big question for UDOT is how you can get people safely across this. 2700 West, which was where you saw the bridge, is still several hundred feet away, and then school is several hundred feet away. So to make them go around, UDOT just thought, well, let's continue that trail and do a bridge over it. So
Commissioner Fackrell had a question for you as well. Go ahead.
Yes, as you're going through your planning, and maybe you guys know this, as far as that 5600 South, is UDOT planning a trail somewhere underneath or over or whatever that interchange that's going in there?
yes
the
and no,
Falcon
but
side.
I'll get to you in a
Okay.
minute. Okay, so SR 108 is 3500 West in Weber County, 2000 West in Davis County. This is a future project, again, with UDOT. Right now in Syracuse and part of Clinton, they're finishing off that southern portion, 5 lanes wide with a 12-foot wide trail on the west side, and it'll come through Roy onto Midland Drive as you get closer to Hinckley Drive. So it'll be very similar to what 5600 South has. And the great thing is, in planning, you want to put it in a plan. And if it's not in the plan, no one ever will look at it or think about it. So having it already in our general plan prior to any construction, UDOT will take a look at that and say, okay, what can we do to accommodate these type of things? Luckily, Clinton had it in theirs, and so did Syracuse. Recently, Western Weber County, along with 6 communities, have an active transportation plan that we adopted that talks about all our north, south, east, west corridors. So we were able to get a few more things in there. So this is a future. And then to go to your question on how do we get under 5600 South and stuff. So the 3 Gates Trail, which connects 3 gates of the Falcon Hill and Hill Air Force Base. So there used to be a rail line here that was mainly used by the military for ammunitions. And if they needed a train to be worked on, there was a train station here about 1800 north in Clinton that has since been removed. UDOT and part of MIDA purchased the right of way, have removed all the rail line except for at some of the major intersections. They don't want to touch it just at the moment. So it goes from downtown Ogden, which won't go all the way into Ogden when it's done, but it will be about 31st Street and on over to 650 North in Clearfield, and then connect into the Layton's Canal project, the trails that they've got there. So right now it's under, there's a study being done, an economic study being done on this trail. UDOT is helping forward with that project and the finances behind it. So it'll be another great north-south trail. So when you go back to the original map that showed all these trails, 5600 South will link. Should have put a picture at the end of this, huh? 5600 South will link these 3 north-south trails together. Well, so regionally we can go. We do have other on-street trails in Roy that connect Riverdale and Roy across I-15 on 4400 South, but those aren't really separated. They're just on grade bike lanes that are painted. So that's really the presentation I've got. Any questions?
I don't have a question. This is Mayor Joy Petrol, but I do have to say I wholeheartedly support this, especially the 3 Gate Trail, because that definitely will give us a connectivity all the way, not just from Layton, but into Kaysville as well. I mean, all of us are trying to focus on this, so I think this is a big portion of what needs to be done so that we can connect our north-south friendly cities together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Steve, thank you. Great work and great planning. So
Oh, thank you.
continue on. Thank you very much. Oh.
Yeah, so this is more for you guys. Is UDOT planning on a trail under the freeway at 5600 South going up to Hill Air Force Base?
The Three Gates Trail
Museum.
goes underneath I-15. So it takes you from the west side of I-15 to the east side with that old rail line that was there. So when they built I-15 and the interchange, they kept the tunnel. So the Three Gates Trail will get you through that.
But you
Goes
have to go
the-
down to 1800 North to get it or not?
No, you can connect it on 56. So it does go to where that Three Gates Trail would hit. And then you can go north and south from
Mayor,
there.
I mean, eventually
Commissioner,
I
I
might
think-
want to use it.
Commissioner, I think the Three-Gate Trail crosses I-15 just south of 56.
Yes.
So you're
Okay.
able to cross I-15 and then get on the west side of I-15, just south of 56. And then it'll tie to the 56th, and then eventually go further north to near the Ogden Airport, and then a connection into downtown Ogden eventually is planned.
So does that mean then that people that want to walk between one side of I-15 to the other side can do so?
Yes, without going through the interchange. That's the nice thing about that existing rail corridor and rebuilding the structure underneath I-15 is that they're able to not have to try to get through an interchange, which we all know is not our most favorite thing to do.
Okay, thanks.
Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, thank you.
Thank you again. Next up, Hugh, we've got what to focus on in 2026. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. So I will do a little review of some of the topics that as a committee have been covered here in 2025. Today is our last meeting of 2025. Appreciate everybody's attendance today and throughout the year. And just as a review, we try and bring things to this committee, planning efforts like the Beehive Bikeways, like the Utah Trail Network that UDOT has been working on, things like Jory and I talked about today, referencing the Regional Transportation Plan. We try and bring you everything that has coming from our representatives up at the Capitol, stay on top of legislation. Miranda Jones-Cox does a great job of that. We try and bring you, just like Steve was talking about, new projects that have just opened up to show you how things can be done and inspiration for your own projects. We talked to you about resources that are out there, things like the NACTO Urban Bikeway Design Guide that was just updated this year, the Utah Bikeways map that's online as a resource. We talked to you about all the technical assistance that the MPOs and others can give to you as far as funding planning, but also funding construction projects. And then events like the Golden Spoke Ride. So this is a little bit of a flavor of the topics that we've covered this year. And so it's just to get you thinking about what we've covered. So on that same Slido poll, I want to get some thoughts from you all. We want to get some thoughts from you all about what we should focus on in 2026 for our meetings this next year. So you can use that same Slido poll that you were on before. Don't even need to re-sign in. And this is just a free form text opportunity for you to put in what you would like us to focus on next year. And then after this, we'll go over the meeting dates for next year, the proposed meeting dates that will get approved at the regional council meeting in a couple of weeks. But for now, please just write some things up there. Okay, funding, always an issue. Fair point. Maybe I can write my own stuff in here while we're waiting. Connected communities, protected bike lanes. Excellent. Design and implementation, Willard Canal access. I wonder who put that one up there. Legislature engaging lawmakers, great. Statement of priorities, okay. ATI, perfect, we'll get to that. Change, okay. Meeting in the afternoon as opposed to the morning. Good feedback. Training opportunities, okay. UTN work, all right. Connectivity. As these are coming in, is there anybody who has written something down or thinking about something that would like to share out loud or expand upon their thought with the committee and the group here today?
I liked what Andrew said about trying to focus on not every road, but, you know, a few in every community that you could really make as a active corridor. I think that's a smart concept to maybe focus our energy on, because we could, every city's got a couple of roads that'd be easier to do it on, and you could, instead of trying to do it that you get more support from the community. I think if you just say, you know, in my city, it's gonna be 7th East or whatever it is, I'd like to put that on there as a, you know, maybe focus in on more doable corridors that would, you know, we could get the communities all behind. So it's not every road.
Practical implementation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
This is Joy. I like that idea. I think the Parley's Trail was a good example today of how they connected two different north-south corridors with their east-west. And I think that's what I personally want to see focused on as well.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner?
Yeah, as far as mine, I would like to see, and of course, I have been working with the commissioners of both Davis County and Weaver County for that Weaver Canyon Trail that goes up through there so that people can actually have an alternative way other than just through the, on the road, and try to somehow connect the counties, all 3 counties, if we could put a priority on it.
Thank you.
It seems like when I reflect on the 3-gate and the Parleys, that one of the things they have in common is there was a little bit of a coalition that was put together, communities with transportation agencies. And so if we're collectively looking at the next set of projects, what are the lessons learned in how those coalitions come together, and what did they do to be effective? I just wonder if that's a useful area for the ATC.
Thanks, Ted. Well, thank you. This is helpful. We'll go over this. And again, as we're thinking about agendas and reaching out to people to present to this committee, we'll take this in consideration. Obviously not the only or the last time. You will be able to give some feedback to us on what we should talk about moving forward. But this is really great. At the risk of the 2 participants getting cut off and now they're done, perfect. Bring along business community, very good one. We'll look at this. So looking at next year, there was that comment about an afternoon meeting. Currently, for 2026, the proposed times are still to do it Tuesdays at 9:15 a.m. on the following dates: February 10th, April 14th, June 9th, August 11th, and October 13th. Again, we have the starting quarter hour after 9 based on the transit schedule. So folks like Councilmember Graff can come in on the train, and anybody else who wants to come in on the train can do that and not be late to the meeting. That's why we have that 9:15 start. But still looking at the proposal of the mornings on those dates, which mimic the schedule this year. So, are there any other comments besides the one we received about moving it to the afternoon that anybody would like to bring up?
Mayor Graff and Fippen, do you guys have anything you want to add? You're both sitting there like you got something.
Morning train just really works well.
If you teach me how, I'll do it.
But you guys use your mics to Dee Dee's like, use your mics to talk about how the train works well.
Okay, yes, the train is awesome. It works really well. One of the reasons I didn't take the train is it doesn't go all the way up to my city anymore. So reopen Pleasant View Station. Just saying. I think even Jordan would agree.
Bicycle down on the train and then the ride back home, it still remains a goal.
Yeah.
It hasn't been realized.
That seems like a dedication issue more than anything else.
Thank you, Andrew,
Councilman.
For the inspiration.
Mayor Melly, do you want to add anything as we look ahead to next year and what's important to you? Push your button.
I was just thinking is that you're talking about along the Wasatch Front. And years ago, I used to work for Toll County, building their trail system. And so one thing I was working on then is I looked at it, it was like the Bountiful trail lines and try to connect Toll County into that. So maybe that's something I could try to bring up and discuss with some people later on that. That was something I was working on like 15, 20 years ago. So, okay.
That'd be quite a ride for you to come in here.
All right, Hugh, number 7.
Yeah, appreciate you letting me keep the floor, Mayor. So one thing that was mentioned in the comments there was more education for folks. And we're really excited to talk about and announce the Utah Active Transportation Implementation Academy. This is a joint project between ourselves at WFRC, UDOT, MAG, and UTA to provide a course and a curriculum for folks that want a deeper dive into all things active transportation, talking about implementation, talking about funding, talking about different project types, building, how your city and community can support active transportation. And we have a consultant on board by the name of Lane Shift out of Northwest Arkansas. If folks are familiar with Northwest Arkansas, it is really this hub of bicycle activity, and their communities there are a real selling point for how they build their communities. So we're excited to have Lane Shift on board with us. And this is a course that is free of charge, again, by the transportation partners, but has limited availability in the number of spots that are there. And it is a 9-session course. 3 of those sessions will be in person here at WFRC's offices. 6 of those sessions will be online, and they'll be about every other week. And there's more information that can be had about this. I don't want to get belabor you with all of the details, but we recognize it is a commitment, but it'll be well worth participants' time to do this with us, to jump into this academy. So one ask that I have of committee members today, you might be thinking that you yourself would be interested in doing something like this, or you may be thinking of other people that would be interested in getting into this. So the ask I have is, can you think of 3 people that would benefit from this course, and either reach out to them and let them know about it, or get in touch with me or Jory, anybody on our staff, to say, you know what, please reach out to this person because they would be a good fit for this academy that you're putting on. It starts in early December. It will run through April with a big break over the holidays, you would imagine. But if you can think of 3 people that diving a little bit more into active transportation, understanding more about how to get a project done, anything and all of the above regarding active transportation, if it's a good fit for them, let us know, because we want to reach out to these folks and get a good cohort for this initial Active Transportation Implementation Academy. So with that, I'm happy to entertain any questions, but no, there's more detail I can get you later. Yes, Commissioner Fackrell.
So who is it designed for? Who is this academy? What's their main people that you're trying to?
Thank you. Good question. So decision makers at any level, really, that can help move active transportation forward, but it's mostly for people that are not existing, like, hey, I know everything about this. I know what's going on. I'm already in this. It's people are like, that seems really interesting, but I don't feel equipped to speak to it in a meeting. I don't feel equipped to talk to other professionals about it because I just don't have as much knowledge as I would like. So it's people that are interested but want to gain more knowledge and information so they can speak to it moving forward.
So are you thinking like a Trails Foundation person, or are you thinking of a commissioners or mayors or who?
Thank you. Primarily focused on elected and appointed officials and people working for those organizations that those folks represent. Yeah. Good questions. Thank you.
Now,
What day of the week the academy will be held?
Yeah, so the days of the week, the Thursdays, there's some sessions between 11 and 1 and some sessions between 1 and 3, but Thursday midday to afternoon primarily. The in-person sessions are more of a commitment. We'll have our folks flying in from out of town, so that'll be anywhere from a half day to a full day for those 3 sessions. Thank you. Good question. So we do have an application online. Again, get names to me, have them reach out to me, and we'll get people filling out applications for the spots that we do have. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, I wondered the public comment that was made was a question about, and I don't know if anybody can address it now, or maybe you can talk to that person about UDOT's transportation conference and how active transportation is fitting in. Does anybody have a comment about that, the question in public comment? Want to address it, or maybe someone can address it offline for them? All right, well, sir,
I can just say at a high level, I know that the conference organizers are focusing on that as one of the modes of transportation that gives us choices across the state. I do know that.
All right, thank you. All right, so that takes us to kind of our other business that just to keep you informed, there's a peer tour of Boulder, Colorado. Put it on your radar for the spring of 2026. It's a peer tour of Boulder City and the surrounding area to learn about their transportation system, land use integration. Feel free to reach out to Hugh. The last one we did was in New Jersey. It was interesting and informative, and we learned some stuff. I learned some stuff. And this one should be fun. So
yeah, I learned some stuff too.
Yeah,
it was great.
You learned the stuff that how I feel about certain animals in subways and whatnot. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Is there a motion to adjourn? Our next meeting is February the 10th, 2026. So we won't see you till the new year. Go ahead.
Before we quit, I have a question. There was mention in one of our prior meetings of a curriculum that they were going to have for school students. Have you heard anything on that? Is it going forward, or do you know?
Great question. Thank you for following up. I haven't heard more about that. I think I could help circle the wagons a little bit with those that were interested in that. I believe that was the Jordan River Commission and Bike Utah. So I'm not sure if they've had additional conversations, but I'll follow up with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Happy fall.